Hi, and welcome to the first episode of Film Fascination. My name is Nicola. I'm a sound designer, and I'm joined by my friend Jacob. Jacob, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Jacob, and I'm a filmmaker. Although the other day when somebody asked me what I said, what I do, I just said I'm a librarian because that's all I could think of. But no,
That's
I
true.
should I should say I'm a filmmaker. I should make that point.
You've made enough to qualify yourself as a filmmaker.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly.
and we're working on stuff together, so
Yeah,
that's fun.
exactly.
All right, and you're definitely a film buff. You're more of a film buff than I am, so that's
I
why I
know.
value your opinion. So, anyway,
Thank you.
today we are talking about A Quiet Place, which is a movie that came out in the past couple of weeks here, and we've both been, well, I've been very excited to check it out. I saw it last night. What about you?
I saw it last week, I think on a Wednesday or a Tuesday or a Thursday.
All right, so pretty fresh in your mind, but
Yeah, I saw it in the middle of the day, which I think was a good strategy because if I were to see it at night, I'd probably like crash my car on the way home just out of pure
true.
fear.
Okay, well, what were your general thoughts on the film Quiet Place?
Well, basically, I thought it was all right. It was decent. When I read about the movie, there was a lot of comparisons to Get Out for some reason, like it's the same level of quality as Get Out. And I actually didn't think that was the case because one I really loved Get Out. I thought it was an excellent movie, and I really loved how it blended political commentary into horror, and I thought that was really original and unique. So when I went into A Quiet Place, I was expecting something similar to that, and I didn't really get that. I just got regular old horror. Nothing wrong with that, but I'm not the biggest fan. But I have to say, the one the one bit that I was like, wow, was the nail part.
Okay, yes, we'll get into
Yeah,
specifics later of those parts.
I thought the movie ended just as it was about to get interesting for me when she cocks the shotgun and is just like, all right, let's kill these motherfuckers.
Well, my general thoughts, I was super hyped to see this because I'm a sound designer.
Yeah,
As soon as I see a film where sound design is one of the most important elements of the film, I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, I gotta see that. And I'm not a huge fan of like cheesy horror or just like horror for the sake of it.
or torture
Um,
porn.
yeah, but I love psychological horror and really well written horror, which there's not a lot of. So I was
Yeah,
like, I'm really hoping that this film combines this awesome sound design with a really clever horror. And my expectations were high, and I went in. It was not scary. It was full of jump scares.
yeah, it was,
That was
wasn't
about
it?
it, but there
Yeah,
wasn't any fear.
no,
There
that
wasn't much suspense. There was a little bit every now and then, but overall it was pretty boring. It was interesting. It was a cool high concept sort of thing. The world building was nice, but yeah, overall I was bored. It was pretty silly.
one thing I always wondered when I went in, like going into the movie, I was like, okay, so they can't make any noises, but like, what if they fart? Like, what? Go into the toilet. Going to the toilet makes noise, you know?
Yeah.
That's just me and my juvenile mind. But yeah, but you're definitely right about it was just jump scares.
Mm.
It was, and it's like nothing really new or original
Yeah, and
about that
like
except for
jump
the
scares are
fact.
fine.
Yeah.
It was understandable. It's a movie about silence, and when they make noise, that's scary. So I expected the jump scares. I counted like maybe 6 or 7 times. I actually physically jumped in my seat because I'm a person who just like I
Yeah.
jump right like
Yeah.
crazy. I was sitting next to my partner, and he's completely still for the whole thing, and I'm just sitting there like smashing into him every time there's a jump
Yeah.
scare. But it wasn't scary. I wasn't scared. So yeah, I thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I feel like, though, I might be a little bit too cynical, I might be a little bit biased because, as someone who understands both sound design, the physics of sound, and how hearing works, the suspension of disbelief is kind of lost on me. As we're setting up for it, I'm like, awesome, monsters that have really, really powerful hearing will hear
Yeah.
you from kilometers away and know exactly where you are and find you. That's really awesome. Spoiler alert
Yeah.
from here
Spoiler
on.
alert.
As the film progresses and we see these monsters more and them trying to interact with these monsters and save themselves from them by not making any noise. And then, like, we literally have owls, right, that have better hearing than these fucking monsters.
Yeah.
And the entire concept of the film is that these monsters have really, really good hearing. To an extent, like, yes, there has to be that suspension of disbelief. There has to be a point where not everything can be explained. We have to leave things up to our
Yeah.
imagination. But it's just, it was crossing that line for me over and over again. You know, they're in the room with this monster and they're trying to back away from it and they're
Yeah.
bumping into things, making little footsteps and stuff, and the monster's like, where are they? I
Oh
can't hear
no,
anything.
where did they go?
Yeah, realistically,
Yeah.
if the monster goes in there, the fact that there is a human being in there, they should immediately know where it is when you see the awesome massive
Yeah.
ears and stuff. And that to me was just, it was way too
Yeah. Yeah. So it's really interesting how they make the point of everybody walking around barefoot on
Mm.
sand,
And
but
that was
in
really awesome, like,
yeah,
these little building elements that makes it really realistic and understandable the way they treat the world around them,
yeah,
which I
but
thought was cool, but
yeah, at the same time, it didn't really amount to anything because they're literally meters away from the big scary monster, and it can't hear them making all these little footsteps.
yeah, that took away a lot of the horror for me because it was just not believable. It was, like I said, it was very silly. It was super silly,
Yeah,
how they expected you to believe that.
yeah,
But then there's two different types of suspension of disbelief in this film. My partner didn't like any of it, but I thought it was really good that they didn't delve into the details of the massive world around them.
yeah,
And it was just centered on this really intimate location with just the one family, and they didn't explain too much about the world building around them and outside there. I thought
yeah.
that was good. They didn't need to explain that. It did not occur to me at any point to think about where they get their electricity from. It's just, all right, they have it. That's fine. That's the kind of thing where you can let it fly.
And also it makes you think like if they can be next to a waterfall and the monsters can't hear them, why don't they just live next to the waterfall?
Yeah, like that's another thing where they don't need to explain that. You can just kind of assume, like, okay, well, they have a reason to live at the farm. It's
Yeah,
safer. They've got lots of food there. They've got the electricity there.
yeah, and
So that kind of thing is like they can get away with that. But
yeah.
the physics, the whole concept of the film about hearing, that it just fell flat, and that's why it wasn't scary.
The exposition on the whiteboard at the beginning.
Yeah, what I thought about that.
Do you think it was smart, or do you think it was a bit
I
cheesy?
feel like it was necessary. When I saw it, it looked a little bit silly. Like
Yeah,
you wouldn't write something like that.
yeah.
But that stood out a fair bit. But at the same time, it's like, it's a movie.
Kind of need that exposition. I
Yeah.
thought it was, I mean, how else were they going to deliver it?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
fair enough. They could have done a better job of little things like that, but overall, you can get away with something like that. So what I'd like to talk about is probably the biggest downfall of the movie, other than the fact that it's not scary when it's supposed to be a horror. There wasn't enough drive for the characters. And it is possible to have a film where the only goal of your characters is to survive. Post-apocalypse, there's monsters around, they have to stay quiet, they have to survive. Okay, that's fine, that's a clear enough goal. But there wasn't enough substance to keep the story going. It was losing its drive, it was losing its steam. The only real goal that they had other than survive was to deliver the baby without everything going to the shithouse.
yeah,
And
which it
like
did.
I just felt like it needed something else. The characters needed to have a clear goal. It just wasn't enough substance in the film itself to keep it engaging and interesting to me.
What about the cochlear implant?
That was that was fine. I like that they did have that, as a part of it because of the deaf girl, and it was a nice little conflict, like she can't hear sound or know where sound is and stuff like that, but like you can't fucking destroy a monster's brain with high frequency sounds. That's not how it works.
I mean, but again, that's that suspension of
It is,
disbelief
like,
you're talking about. Because I mean, these aliens are just that aliens.
yeah, so that in itself, it's like, oh yeah, they can sort of get away with that. It was a nice thing to include in there, but it didn't feel like it was quite enough. And it needed drama between the characters. It needed more things, like the parents needed to fight more. They needed to have some kind of thing between them. I was thinking, I think one of the better scenes for me is when they go out into the forest and they find the old guy and his dead wife on the ground.
Yeah,
And
that
he's,
was interesting.
he's crazy and he screams. That was a really good little world building thing
Yeah,
just around
I would
them.
have liked to see more of that.
Yeah, it
It
would have been.
reminded me a lot of Fallout.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it would have been really nice to see like a bit more of the world around them. Maybe I was thinking like, oh, how can you make this movie interesting? How can you actually make it good? Because I thought it was very meh. How to make this movie better? Personally, I think it would have been much better to have maybe like the town over because there are these other people around and it's a survival situation. You'd expect them to come over at some point. Maybe they try and like steal their food or steal their
Yeah.
electricity, their supply, this privilege that they have in their town. So you have these like groups of people fighting each other, but they can't make any noise because otherwise they all get killed by the monsters.
Yeah, and it's like they wouldn't be able
Yeah,
to shoot guns or
exactly. So
you
it would have
know,
been,
and when you swing a stick or something, you're in the middle of a battle with someone. You go,
yeah, and then you get hurt and you can't say anything, like we were saying with the nail.
Yeah,
Adds a lot of tense because she's going to get injured and she can't scream or anything. So it just would have been cool to see more of a human conflict. It was just super cheesy with the drama family. Not to mention the bloody awful dialogue. There was not much dialogue in this movie when I was there.
no,
It sucked.
yeah,
Oh, it was awful.
I love you.
Yeah, and that scene was okay where he's doing the sign language for I love you. It was sweet.
Yeah,
There's this fucking awful bit where the mother is saying to the husband, Protect the children. How can we be parents if we can't protect them? Please just protect them. Do whatever you can to protect them. We can't do anything except for protect them. Please promise me the. That's pretty much what she says.
Yeah.
And and there's this kid who's meant to be like 9 years old, and he's like, "Father, do you blame her for the death of your child?" And it's like, you fucking little
9.
kid. I guess the last point I kind of want to make is a really big downfall for this film, for me personally. The sound design in this film, yes, it's a film about being quiet, but it was really lacking. There was a lot of potential for really awesome sound design, using silence, using score, using the Foley, non-diegetic stuff, and it just felt really flat.
Yeah.
It was quite bland. There was nothing that really stood out about it. And it's a horror film as well. That sound design needs to be
Good.
spot on. It
It
needs to
needs to
be
be on point.
fantastic. And like the monsters coming in, making these little like clicking noises and roaring like dinosaurs and
Yeah.
stuff like that. And like that just wasn't working. It just didn't feel scary. It wasn't interesting. It wasn't engaging. The use of silence was nice. Yes, the concept demands it, so it's kind of
Yeah.
that. But it
It
is
is
it
in
is
the
nice for
title
me.
after all.
Yeah, yeah. And the score took away from a lot of it. Some of it was nice and simple. It was used some of the right times, like in the little prologue before the
The kid gets
title
killed.
introduction. Yeah, when the little kid gets killed with the plane, they were switching between the deaf girl not hearing anything.
I
They had the
just
music, it cuts out at the right moment. That was a bit where I was getting like a little bit, oh, something's gonna happen because the
Yeah.
music just cut out and it's gone quiet. That was the best example, and then everything after that just went down. It
Yeah.
didn't get any better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, what did you think about the monster?
It looked like a pretty generic monster to me.
Mm,
And I found it weird how they couldn't kill it traditionally with regular weapons or whatever.
mm.
Like with a shotgun, they have to wait till it was at a specific. Like, it was weird. Why didn't they just shoot it when it's trying to listen to them? It looks really vulnerable then. It looks like it's taken away its armor. It's
Yeah.
unshielded itself to listen. Just go, boom, right into its ear. Just, I
Yeah.
don't know.
So I thought it was okay, you stun it with the high frequencies, it doesn't kill it though, then you can shoot it. That's a fine concept, but when it comes to designing creatures, like there was such lost potential in an animal that uses all of its hearing as its only way of navigating around. Like you look at something like the great grey owl, their entire face is a little satellite, like a radial dish.
Yeah,
And their
yeah.
like ears are at different lengths and they've got these particular feathers. The way they move is a particular way. The way that they hunt is all about the sound. These creatures, they just felt like they reminded me of The Mist.
That was a good movie.
Yeah, I love that one.
Especially the ending. Whoa.
Woo! Okay. But yeah, these monsters, they're just a letdown. I don't even know if the people who designed these creatures were even aware of like how would a creature that uses sound be built and
Yeah.
thing. And it's got all these weird like plates that lift up on its head and it's goopy and stuff. It
Yeah.
looks cool, but what the fuck is the function? It's just gonna mess with the way that sound. Like if you look at an owl like scanning the ground looking for like a mouse under the snow, they look pretty creepy. And then
Yeah.
they like find the point and they go with the claws, it looks rad. This was just a generic alien thing with goopiness, big sharp teeth. The ears themselves were kind of cool, but yeah, it was just a big lost potential. So what are your final thoughts on the film and your recommendations?
Yeah, I'd probably give it 6 out of 10. I mean,
Mm.
if you want to get scared, I suppose it's not a bad way to do it. There's worse movies out there at the moment. But it wasn't as great as I thought it was going to be, especially with all the comparisons I was reading to Get Out.
I'm a bit biased as a soundy and someone who's into sound physics and stuff. I'd give it like 6.7 out of 10 maybe. I find it hard to recommend as a horror because it wasn't scary, but the world building was really interesting, and I noticed that a lot of people in the audience around me were getting shit
Yeah.
scared, even though I was like
Eh.
laughing at it because of how silly it was. So
Yeah.
I'd recommend it to general audiences. If you're very analytical and you get really mad about suspension of disbelief and like reject films based on, oh, that doesn't seem realistic, then maybe watch it because it'll really piss you off. I wouldn't watch it again. I wouldn't
Yeah.
recommend it to me to watch it again, but I'd recommend it to people who aren't soundies.
Yeah.
So yeah.
If you don't know what to watch at the cinemas at the moment, I'd be like, yeah, go
Yeah.
see it. It'll be alright.
Yeah, check it out.
But I
It's
mean,
okay.
Isle of Dogs I thought was better, and The Death of Stalin. I thought it would be more memorable.
Yeah, don't have massive
Also-
expectations, yes.
Also, I have to admit, before I went and saw this movie, I watched like 3 episodes of The U.S. Office back to back. So that was fun. That actually increased my enjoyment because it's Jim. I know he's probably gonna get all types of shit because he's stuck with that role for the rest of his
Yeah,
life. He's like,
that's
oh, it's
true.
Jim. Where's
Yeah.
Pam, Jim?
What
Where's
did you do to her?
Yo? Who's this
Okay.
Emily Blunt woman?
Alright, so we're gonna take a quick 5-minute break, have a look at what other critics are saying about this film,
Yeah.
and then discuss any other last points we made, and see, yeah, if there's anything else we can talk about based on what we found. So we'll be back in a sec.
All right.
So we just had a look at some other reviews and what other critics are saying about A Quiet Place, and they brought us some points that we did not, and have said some very interesting and contradictory things to what we said. So I
Yeah.
noticed there seems to be a general consensus that this movie is,
Good for sound.
yes, I've read that the sound design is amazing.
Yeah. But they're not sound designers. They're
they're-
just critics.
Yeah, I mean, there's parts where it's really good. There's a few distinct parts where it's really, really good, particularly with the monster, like opening up his ears and we hear what the monster's hearing. The ambience and the Foley was really nicely well done, very well articulated. And like the deaf girl cutting to her perspective, like that was used. Good at sometimes, okay at others. Overall though, a lot more potential in the sound design. Should have been taken into consideration more from the beginning.
Yeah.
How to best use sound for this story, because I feel like it wasn't the priority that it should have been. People are also saying that it's really scary as well. There is definitely some scary
Scares,
parts. There's a bit of suspension, there's a bit of fear.
but not as much as there should have been.
Yeah, it could have been way scarier.
I think Get Out was a way better film than A Quiet Place.
Yeah, so very comparable types of horror.
Yeah.
Building up that kind of stuff. Yeah, there were parts like the nail on the board that was scary. Setting up things and then.
And what about the scene in the whatchamacallit, silo?
So that was pretty cool. That was also one of the kind of silly moments
It
that I thought I'd
was.
mention. So the monster like tears out through the silo wall, yet it can't get into the truck.
Yeah.
That was a bit where I'm like, this is just here for plot and dramatic effect and doesn't actually make any sense. And
Yeah.
in this kind of movie, you really have to get those elements right. You have to get those details right, especially with like the science. And, you set up for a thing and to just ignore it in the next scene or later on in the film, that's just wasted potential because you can set up these parameters at the beginning of your film, which leads to more tension later on because it should have been able to get through the truck in one hit.
Yeah.
It just didn't because it needed to be dramatic at that scene, and that's just one of those
It's
examples
just
where
plot
it's
armor.
like it is. You just immediately say like, ugh, I get what they're getting at, but yeah. There's some scary bits in there. The mother's walking down the staircase, and I think she just stepped on the
baby.
nail. She just
Oh,
stepped on
yeah.
the nail. She
She's
dropped the
about to give
thing, and
birth.
the monster like walks through the house
Yeah.
really quietly. Like that was a little scary scene because it's coming for her.
Yeah.
But then she'll be cornered and the monster's there about to get her, and there was a point where it's so predictable. That's why it wasn't scary to me as well. Like, so where's the distraction sound gonna come from this time?
Yeah.
Oh, it's the kids in the silo. Oh, where's it gonna come this time? Oh, it's the dad out here doing this thing. Oh,
Yeah.
it's this bit over here. You could literally count down. Even the jump scares as well. I was like, all right, jump scare in 3, 2, there it is.
Yeah.
Did my little jump. Now the scene's over because the monster got distracted by something else. It is
Yeah.
so fucking predictable. There's a couple of scenes that were good in building, just weren't enough to carry the whole thing. I've noticed people are saying, and I do agree, it's very, very well made. Visually, it's stunning. The world is wonderful. All this building around the characters and the way it's shot and the way it's edited, it's nice. It looks great. It's very artfully made, not so artfully written. It's a nice film. It's really well made. They did a really good job at that. It's just a pity that all the other elements that actually make a film good. Finally, some people are saying, like, this movie is super scary, but also really about human nature and family drama and loving each other and stuff like that. And that element of the film, like, it's so on the nose about, like, love your family and take care of them and be there for each other. Like, this movie has no bloody subtlety. Like I was saying before about the dialogue, like, protect the children, please do it, please do it, please protect the children, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it. And then, like, like, the kid talking to the dad and the...
Father?
Father,
what do you think of our darling Clementine who murdered our brother? Did not blame her. I did not.
She did not kill him, darling, I love you. It was just so on the nose, and, like, there were a couple moments where you're like, oh, it's so sweet. But then, like, Oh, we need to mention the ending. I know
Yeah.
you like the ending.
No, I didn't
No?
like the. Well, see, the ending was just when I was about to get good because when Emily Blunt sort of cocked her shotgun and was just like, "All right, let's do this shit." I was like, "Oh yeah, about to get some action up in this bitch," and then I was gonna be like full on rampage of all the monsters. Little girl was just doing her thing with the ear, and
Mm,
mother just killing people with a baby on her back. I was like, "Dude, that would be awesome," and then it just ended.
yeah.
And I was like, "What?"
Now
They
I'm
need to make a sequel where it's just pure action. She's going boom,
yeah.
boom.
See, I'm happy that they didn't have them slaughtering the aliens, but fuck, that ending was so bad.
Mm,
Like, they do the implant thing, and then she gets the shotgun and shoots a thing in the face,
yeah,
and it is just such a weird thing to end on. Emily Blunt, like, her character seemed to be really happy and like, yeah, let's get these sons of bitches. That
yeah,
is not the right emotion you should be having at that time. Your husband is dead.
yeah,
Your baby might fucking die.
yeah.
There's
But
probably like 50 creatures out there,
but
and you've
she,
got like 6 shots. You're
yeah,
gonna fucking get
yeah.
fucked up.
But she just figured out how to kill the alien, the unkillable
Mm.
alien. Which, by the way, is weird. Like, I'm surprised that like all of Earth couldn't figure out to kill the alien that way.
Yeah.
But anyway, she finally figured it out. She finally killed someone, and these aliens killed her first baby. You know, so it's like
It's
revenge time.
to me it was just the wrong emotion to end on where they're like, let's kick some ass. It should have been, okay, we know how to kill these things. This is still the most, that would be even scarier for me because they could still kill you just because you have a shotgun with a few rounds in it. Like, there's a lot of factors. You are in more danger than you have been for the past 472 days. Now that you've attracted them all, they're all running towards your house. Why are you excited to kill these
I was
things?
excited to see some action, something to wake me up.
Yeah, something to happen.
Yeah.
That would have been good. Something happening in this movie other than just, oh, we might make noise. Oh, there's a monster, don't make a noise. Oh, I'm having the baby now. Oh, I had the baby. Make a distraction.
And
Make a distraction. I must
so-
sacrifice myself for my family.
I'm
Yeah,
just-
we can kill the monsters. End of movie. That was it.
I mean, I'm a man. I don't know anything about giving birth. But from what I can tell, giving birth is a very loud and painful experience.
Yeah, she did it really well.
Yeah, to be very
Um,
quiet.
Yeah, that was a surprise.
I mean,
But,
apparently Scientologists have to give birth in silence.
that's kind of crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Whack jobs.
Yeah.
Oh, one thing. Fuck. We burst out laughing in the theater and pissed off everyone else. But when main dude, they go into the cellar, and there's the creature running in after them, and he pulls the mattress over the hole, and he sits down with his wife, and like, it's just quiet enough for them to survive. And then later on, they're talking in a normal volume. That was so freaking dumb. That was clearly written by someone who's like, we can get away with it. And I bet the bloody sound team on this film were like doing this, like the sound editing in their mixing room. We're just sort of sitting there like, oh. This goes against everything I know about the
Also,
universe. Because
where did that water come from? You know, the water that flooded the
oh,
basement?
another thing. That is one of those plot holes that you
Yeah.
can't ignore. How did he walk out there and go out without looking at the thing and noticing, hey, there's a lot of water falling down now. Maybe this
Yeah,
sound will
but-
attract the monsters. Maybe it'll
Yeah.
flood the cellar.
Yeah, but like, where did it come from in the first place?
Oh no, I get it. The monster was trashed a place, hence why all the lights and everything were there, and the monster smashed the thing. But why didn't he just turn around and be like, hey, look at that. That wasn't there before. Maybe that's an issue. No, he just
Yeah.
walked straight past it. This whole film is about sound, and he doesn't hear the water running. There's so many of those moments where, like, I could list all of them, but we'd be here for hours.
Yeah. I did like how she hid behind the water cascading. You know,
that
with
was
the
kind of
baby.
smart, but when you
But how you got there was dumb. It was a smart decision
Yeah.
in a dumb series of events.
like bro, we've got at the zoo I work, we have a tiger who is 100% blind. He doesn't even have his eyes, and he navigates the world better than these monsters do. If
Yeah.
you were in a room with all this ambient sound and you were trying to walk around, just by the fact that there is a physical mass between you and another sound makes it
Yeah.
clear that there's an object there. There was so much potential for using things like that and teaching the fucking audience about how sound works. But no, they're
No.
just like, yeah, we can get away with it. Maybe the general audience wouldn't pick up on it. I guess the general audience definitely doesn't pick up on it because everyone says that it's fine and people
Yeah.
were scared in the cinema, but they couldn't get away with it.
Yeah.
No, they couldn't. Not for me.
No,
Maybe
no.
everyone else, but I will not be fooled by you, movie.
No.
It is too much. You're
See,
asking me to believe too much and I
See,
cannot.
I'm not a soundy, so I went in as an ignorant viewer, but now I've become illuminated by the world
Yes.
of sound.
Now you know how sound works.
Yeah.
So don't watch this film as education on how sound works because it is wrong, and it is too wrong for a movie. I get that it's a movie, and I get that you have to just have things there that aren't exactly true. It's not a documentary, but
No.
there's a line that you have to draw, There's only so much you can get away with. This movie,
Cross that line.
it crossed that line for me way too many times. So, general audience,
I
you
wonder what
probably
it's
find it
like.
scary.
I wonder what it's like to watch that movie on like an iPhone or iPad or something.
Mm.
Would it be more scary or less scary?
I wonder what it's like to watch it when you're not a soundy. That's what I ask myself every day. What does
Mm.
the world sound like to people who can't hear sounds, or at
Yeah.
least not
Decipher
deaf
it.
people, but people who don't understand that it's
Yeah.
there. It's like being colorblind and not
Mm.
realizing there's color everywhere.
Yeah.
Because we've evolved to not be able to comprehend the sound around us. It's supposed to be there, that's invisible. We're not supposed to be able to pick up on it.
Yeah. But
Um,
dogs can.
yeah, I mean, we can if
And
we train
cats.
ourselves to. Like
I love
soundies like
cats.
myself, we hear a world that other people don't hear because we pay attention to it when you're not supposed to as animals.
Yeah.
It's just something to tell you about the environments around you. What does the world sound like to people who are normal? I guess.
Yeah.
We'll never know. I'm glad that people find it scary.
Yeah.
That's good.
I'm glad it's an original movie.
Yeah. It's sort of original. Slightly original.
Oh no, it's not like a franchise movie or
Oh,
something.
yeah. So I'll praise it for that. But otherwise, not wholly original.
Yeah.
Cool concept, wasted.
All right.
So that's the end of our first episode of Film Fascination. We've talked about A Quiet Place. I think it's still in cinemas for a while, at least here in
Yeah.
Australia. So, yeah, check it out if you wanna. Hopefully it's been entertaining, insightful, maybe.
Thank you for listening.
Yeah, thanks. We'll see you next time.
You'll hear
No.
us next
Yeah, we
time.
can't see you.
Yeah.
Or can we?
Oh.